The PokeMMO OU Metagame is the most popular, with 284,000 games played so far this month, compared to underused, never used, and doubles, which are all hovering around 10,000. However, many players feel like it's currently lacking skill expression due to the plethora of matchup fish teams you'll find on the ladder, whether it's stall, hyper offense, rain, or whatever, as well as broken meta-warping Pokemon like Serperior, Gallade, and Zapdos and Volcarona to a lesser extent. This sentiment is often echoed on the forums by players who still have hope that communication with the devs is a worthwhile endeavor. While the metagame has a plethora of issues, this video is going to focus on how one Pokemon can patch up a lot of the issues with the OU metagame. Heatran. If you've watched my streams before, you've heard me cry in anguish over how stale the metagame is and how this one simple addition could shake up the metagame tremendously as well as make it more enjoyable. So, that's what this video will be about, what Heatran does for those who may only play PokeMMO so they don't know, and how he would impact our OU metagame. If you guys enjoy my content, consider subscribing. Over half of you guys are not subscribed, and when you sub, it releases the happy chemicals in my brain, so thank you very much. Heatran is a very versatile Pokemon, but by no means an unfair one. I'm not going to give you guys some crazy false swipe gaming background lore on him and what he's done throughout the generations, but I will note that he was overused in every generation that he has ever been in, except for Generation 9. From Diamond and Pearl to Black and White, X and Y, Sun and Moon, and Sword and Shield, Heatran is in the overused tier. Scarlet and Violet in the underused tier, but don't worry about that one. I mentioned this to show that the utility that Heatran brings to teams has pretty much always kept him in the OU tier, but he's never been so overbearing that he would reach Ubers. This is an honest Pokemon. I stress this because I've seen a number of people in my chat say stuff like, "Oh, Spidget, I saw this post on the forums by the staff of the game, and they say they're not going to add any Ubers Pokemon to the game." Heatran has never been Ubers, so them making that post does not mean that we cannot keep coping about Heatran. We can cope all that we want. Or they'll say, "Oh, I don't want legendary Pokemon in the game because if you add legendary Pokemon, everybody's just going to play them." And to that I say, look at the top of OU statistics where Scissor has 40% usage just with its Choice Band Click-In Bullet Punch. And Heatran is not a broken legendary. He does not have Dragon Dance, he does not have Calm Mind, he is not anything close to Contrary Serperior, which never even existed in Generation 5, or Sharpness Gallade. Heatran is not sweeping or running away with the game unless you have a serious team building issue. He's just a Pokemon that makes solid progress whenever he comes in. Now, for those who may not know about Heatran because they're PokeMMO only, I'll quickly go over what he can do and what he's used for before we start talking about how he would affect our OU metagame. So, I've gone to Pokemon Showdown and I've created some sets to talk about. A little visual aid for the fans. Very high quality on this channel, as you guys know. First, there is Trapper Heatran. For those who don't know about Heatran, Heatran's signature move is Magma Storm, which is basically a fire spin on steroids. You trap and damage the target for 4 to 5 turns. Now, the idea of this is if they switch into something like Chansey, you are getting to taunt that blob and wear it down with residual damage like the Magma Storm, the Toxic, the Earth Power, and you're either trading with Chansey, beating it, or keeping it low depending on if you get the taunt turns right. This allows Heatran to enable Pokemon to do their job where they would have been walled by Chansey otherwise because you trapped it and removed it from the field. Second is offensive, a bit more simple. You slap a balloon on that guy, you try to lead it into Gliscor because every single Gliscor is running the same stuff with Earthquake, Protect, Hazard, and Toxic. And Heatran completely blanks out with the balloon. So you get up your rocks on their Protect, and then you hope they don't have an Assault Vest Tyranitar or a Chansey and you start clicking buttons. Heatran is great special defensively because it can check broken guys like Volcarona and Superior, who currently get away with way too much, as well as a very solid switch in to Zapdos clicking anything except for Volt Switch. Next is Choiced. It could be Scarfed, I just slapped on Specs because I think Specs look cooler than Scarf. Heatran is a very versatile Pokemon whose highest base stat is 130. This isn't a legendary whose stat spread is level 100 everything like Mew or Shaman or Jirachi. He's packing that 130 base special attack, so even if we think that the best sets that he has to offer are his utility or special defensive sets, he can still pack a punch if that's what your team wants. Something else worth mentioning is even though Heatran did not gain Eruption until Generation 8, because until then, the only way you could get a Heatran with Eruption in the game was via a mystery gift, and that mystery gift was, for those who don't know, a mystery gift is when you would beg your parents to drive to Toys R Us so that you can get like a Darkrai in your game. Heatran at one point had a mystery gift with Eruption, but that mystery gift was quiet, so the only way you could ever run Eruption on Heatran was if you were quiet. That is no longer the case in Generations 8+ because Nature Mints got added, and so I think that Eruption would also be legal in PokeMMO. So, worth mentioning, worth considering. One last one I think worth mentioning is phasing. I've used some dirty Gen 6 teams that use like Hazard Sack with T-Spikes with Roar, Protect Heatran, and it's like, Heatran generally, when you swap it into something, like Volcarona or Superior, they generally have to leave the field, right? So you click Protect if you have your Toxic Spikes up, you click Roar as they switch to a Pokemon that they think beats your Heatran, and then they get roared out, they take more damage, they're like, oof, ouch, my feet, they hurt. And then they're like, no, I didn't want to be in this Pokemon, so yeah. Last Heatran we have here is this one I named Honorable Mentions, just to list stuff that I didn't cover in these other sets that I made up. Heatran does not only have Toxic, you can also run Will-O-Wisp if you feel like wisping physical attackers. You want to run a Balloon, click Will-O-Wisp into like D-Knight and Garchomp, you can do that. You've got variety. He gets Solar Beam, so if you want to try to catch someone, swap in their Gastrodon, you can run a Power Herb and hit him with the one-turn Solar Beam if you really feel so inclined. If you want to be a bad guy, you can do it. Heatran gets Torment, and Smooge actually said that I should add this one to the honorable mentions list. For those who don't know what Torment does, it's basically a move where if you torment your foe, they cannot use the same move twice in a row. Very niche, you probably haven't heard of it. Oh god, the hiccups are coming. The video is ruined. But yeah, generally, historically, people have run Torment Heatran with stuff like Protect, Substitute, and, you know, if they've only got like one move to hit you, they can't keep spamming it because they're tormented. Lastly, if you want to get fast as fuck, boy, you can Flame Charge, but it's definitely not very good. Actually, lastly, Heatran, while mainly known for Flash Fire and being the only defensive fire type, you know, not weak to rocks, it also has Flame Body. So if you want to forego your ability to check Volcarona, and instead you want to switch in your Heatran and punish Scissors that click U-turn on them and burn them, you can do that if you feel so inclined. As you guys may be able to surmise from these sets, Heatran is a Pokemon that doesn't really fit on hyper offense or stall. This is a Pokemon that fits best on bulky offense or balance, and its incredible roll compression will make it a lot easier to build these archetypes of teams on PokeMMO. Whenever I try to build something that's not hyper offense on this shit game, I get mad because it's impossible to check all of these threats since we are not given the tools. I don't know if you guys know this, but Contrary Superior wasn't even in Generation 5, and we have to deal with stuff like that. We have to deal with stuff like Zapdos, which didn't have Hurricane until Generation 8. We have to deal with Sharpness Gallade, which didn't have Sharpness until Generation 9, and we aren't even given all the tools to try to check these guys. So that's generally why I think you see the PokeMMO meta swinging so far towards the extremities. It's just simpler and easier to match up fish than try to cover everything. So the addition of Heatran would alleviate the extreme strain a lot of these Pokemon put on the team builder. Last thing I'm going to do here is go down the PvP statistics and talk about how Heatran interacts with each of these Pokemon. Hopefully this gets the point I'm trying to convey across, that 1, Heatran is by no means broken, and 2, he would be a positive impact on our metagame. So, as you guys can see, ugly ass scissor right at the top here, 40% of teams, oh my god, just spamming their bullet punch. Stay hydrated, everybody. Heatran's existence makes it much scarier to click bullet punch into a Heatran team because it's great at making progress. You lock yourself into that, you're obviously gonna have to switch, and Heatran's getting up rocks, it's getting a toxic off on you, or it's getting damage on whatever you switch into. Garchomp is the rank 2 Pokemon. You will be disconnected from the server soon due to being inactive. Nope, I'm moving around, you cannot stop me. You will not disconnect me and ruin this video, PokeMMO devs. They're trying to oppress me and stop me from spreading the Heatran gospel. Make sure you guys leave a like on this video if you're liking. Did I say to subscribe? I probably did already, but if I didn't say to subscribe, consider subscribing. I think a lot of you just forget. A lot of my chatters say, oh, I can't believe I forgot to sub to you. So yeah, maybe make sure that you didn't forget. Thank you very much. What was I saying? Garchomp. Garchomp is the rank 2 mon and a pretty clear answer to Heatran. It would have to be running Balloon Will-O-Wisp to pose a threat. Dragonite. This is one that I enjoy the impact on. Dragonite, the 3rd most popular mon, switches into both Magma Storm and Earth Power with ease. However, the current set that literally every Dragon Dance Dragonite runs is walled by Heatran. Dragon Dance, Dragon Claw, Fire Punch, Extreme Speed. Sure, there's some Dragonites that run like Mix with the Dragon Gem, Draco Meteor lead, and they might be superpowered, but the vast majority of Dragonites are walled by Heatran. This forces Dragonite to have some set diversity and start running Earthquake if it wants to kill Heatran. Tyranitar is the 4th most common mon, and the most popular set is, unfortunately for Heatran, Assault Vest. This is definitely a clear check to Heatran that is already very much popular in the metagame. The metagame would not have to adapt to handle it or anything. You wouldn't even be able to Heavy Slam, so I don't want to have any nerd commenter coming in here like, actually, Mr. Streamer, my Heatran, while yours might be walled by the common Assault Gear set in PokeMMO, my set is running Heavy Slam, which hits Tyranitar super effectively on the physical damage side. Well, dumb commenter that I made up in my head to argue with, Heavy Slam isn't even going to do anything, because Heavy Slam's damage is based off of your weight compared to your opponent's weight. I'm gonna let you guys know a little secret, Tyranitar is one big bitch. Best you're doing is like Toxicking it, or, you know, statusing or some sort, and putting up rocks on the switch in. Even if you Wisp it, like, Earthquake is gonna do too much to you. So, yeah, can't, like, stay into Wisp and take that Earthquake, in my humble opinion. Rotom can pivot in pretty easily. You just have to accept that you're probably gonna get Toxic, but Rotom is a pivot, so it's only really in for a few turns at a time anyway. No big deal. Gallade, with its monstrous special defense, would be able to swap into Heatran very easily once you scout that's not Lava Plume, so you won't get burnt 30% of the time, and force it out due to being faster and one-tapping it. Now we get to the juicy stuff. Zapdos. Broken, stupid Zapdos with its Hurricane that it should not have. Zapdos, if it dares to click anything that is not Volt Switch, if that guy wants to click Heat Wave or Toxic or HP Ice and you switch in your Heatran, you are getting a free Toxic, Rocks, Magma Storm, etc. So Zapdos has to be a lot more careful, which is really nice because Zapdos having Hurricane in this game gives it really fantastic coverage into a lot of teams, so it could definitely use the oppression. And speaking of teams that could use some oppression, Superior! Oh my god, Superior covers far too much with Leaf Storm, Hidden Power Fire, and Dragon Pulse. Heatran puts a hard stop to this, assuming they don't run Hidden Power Ground to kill you, and if they do, they're walled by steals, and it's a much less effective set. So that's one super oppressive Pokemon that in the team builder checked. The other one, Volcarona. Volcarona actually gets away with running Hidden Power Ice and fishing the entire metagame. I could not fathom this when I started playing this game. I'm like, oh my god, I can seriously run HP Ice, and like the only time my guy is useless is if they have a Chansey. Like at least a Tyranitar, you can burn it upon switching, you know? Like you don't have to choose between ground and ice, and that is just so ridiculous. Volcarona and Serperior should not be so oppressive, is really what I'm trying to get across here. The simple addition of Heatran would make these guys far worse. And speaking of oppressive guys, Hydreigon literally got Draco Meteor banned on him. Sorry to jump around the PvP statistics, but yeah, he had to, you can't Draco with this guy anymore because they'd rather ban Draco than give us defensive seals. Shit really makes no sense. Like, even if I run specs, if I pull up my I Love You Bro Jellicent team, which has specs on it, this cannot even touch Heatran. Hydreigon would have to start considering running Earth Power or Focus Blast, both of which it has, but Hydreigon has never had to consider doing that a single time, which is probably why it had to get Complex banned. So yeah, that's one broken guy that you don't have to worry about anymore with the addition of our Lord and Savior, Heatran. Gliscor. Gliscor is run mostly Impish currently, as you guys can see, 53%. Looks like Jolly is increasing, which I like to see. As you Spidget fans know, me personally, I claimed my Jolly Gliscor. If Heatran was added, we might see them shift towards Careful to check it better. They would also need to potentially run more speed in order to outpace Heatran and not get taunted by balloon variants that will blank the usual Earthquake, Toxic, Hazard, Protect bullshit that we see. They also cannot switch hard in if they don't lead and get their Toxic Orb activated, because they have to respect Lava Plume, which will cripple the Gliscor 30% of the time upon switch in. Rain. Obviously, Heatran is no good for Rain. You'll just have to lead off into the Heatran into Pelipper and get up your rocks. Ferrothorn. Obviously, Heatran beats it. Starmie. Starmie can pretty easily switch into Heatran and force it out, or even Spin if the Heatran rocked the previous turn. Spin also has the benefit of stopping Magma Storm damage / binding, so for those who don't know, you get to spin away stuff like Leech Seed, trapping moves like Whirlpool. So those defensive Starmie sets that we've seen go around with like Natural Cure, Rapid Spin, Recover, that would totally blank like the Magma Storm, Earth Power, Toxic type stuff, and it can easily be faster than Heatran, so you can't taunt it. And obviously it's a water type, so again, forces you out. Did I say Hydreigon? Yeah, Hydreigon can't cover the entire metagame with just like 2 moves. Very good. I would say Gengar would get checked pretty hard since it resists Shadow Ball in this game, but most Gengars actually run Trick Black Sludge here. So I think they might just cripple Heatran anyway. Oh, gotta come down to this guy. Broken #1 Pringles Can Man. As you guys know from the rank 1 I Love You Bro team, the set that you most often see on Jellicent is Hex, Recover, Taunt, Will-O-Wisp. This set like beats the entire metagame. It smashes bulky stuff. It does so well into offense. 56% win rate on this guy, and that set entirely blanked by Heatran. They will have to adapt. The water Pokemon will actually have to run a water move. A common theme that you might hear in this video is me saying set diversity. Dragonite will have to run Earthquake, set diversity. Hydreigon will no longer be able to cover the entire metagame with just 2 moves, set diversity. Volcarona changing Hidden Power, set diversity. You guys get what I'm saying here? All right, who else? Chansey beats non-trapper Heatran, of course, but they do have to fear the Taunt Magma Storm variant because they get trapped and trade with Heatran, opening up Heatran's teammates that may have been stopped earlier. I'm hoping that Heatran will make stall work a little bit harder. I think you can play stall like pretty reactively in this game and be safe for the most part due to Wish Teleport Chansey existing in this game, which, for those who don't know, is not a combination that's been legal in any generation ever. So that has always like annoyed me. I'd love to know your guys' opinion on it. Comment down below. Wheezing, stupid ass Wheezing. You guys know what Wheezing does, right? They all do the same shit. Stupid ass Wheezing is generally running shit like T-Spikes, Toxic, Flamethrower, Wisp Sludge, blah 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 blah, and all of that is put a stop to by Heatran. Sure, broken ass neutralizing gas is going to take away your flash fire, and it's going to be able to hit you with Flamethrower like no Pokemon should be able to, but regardless, Heatran still totally beats Wheezing, forces him out, makes him worry about that. Who else is worth mentioning? Bloom and Kong punch that guy in the face, Skarmory gets forced out. Gyarados is a very easy counter to Heatran that you can, a very easy way to take advantage of him if you're running him on bulky offense. Gyarados, obviously, with its monstrous special defense, switches into stuff like Magma Storm, Earth Power with ease. If you're Lumberry, you don't have to worry about Toxic. It can also be a subset, so you can sub in front of Heatran and not get Toxic or Whisper or whatever. Speaking of monstrous special defense Pokemon that can switch in, we've also got Regenerator Mienshao, which switches in, takes like every hit except for Wisp, and then gets to U-turn out and use Heatran as a way of making progress, because, again, unless you're Wisp, Mienshao's beating you pretty handily. It might sound like I'm mentioning a lot of guys that beat Heatran, and that's really just so I get the point across that this Pokemon is not overbearing whatsoever, even if I think it would be really good in the metagame and for the metagame. Who else is important to talk about? Metagross, obviously, Heatran's forcing that guy out. Crawdaunt, Aqua Jet's beating you. Ryu Nicholas, that cringe double dance Ryu Nicholas set with the iron defense and the acid armor and the stored power. Even though Ryu Nicholas is Magic Guard, this cheese set definitely gets stopped, because it's not going to get the boosts for stored power and just going to Earth Power that guy down. If it has Focus Blast, then Ryu Nicholas is actually going to be a very safe switch into Heatran, because it doesn't take residual damage, you don't have to worry about the status. Yada 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 yada. Chandelure will fall off, but it's already pretty bad since T-Tar exists. On the topic of Jellicent having to run Scald, there's a lot of water types that, bulky waters that, in my opinion, kind of get away with not running Water Move. I've seen Gastrodon just run like Ice Beam, Toxic, Hazard, Recover, which they would not be able to do. They would have to run Scald or Earth Power. And even if you run Scald on Gastrodon, that's literally doing 25 to Heatran. So you can Toxic that guy with ease and get away with it. Gastrodon might have to start running Earth Power, which I never really see at all. So you guys know what I'm going to say, right? Set diversity. Say it with me. Comment it down below with me. Amoonguss. You know, Heatran pwns that guy. Empoleon, if it's not a taunt variant, switches in pretty easily. Earth Power probably isn't doing very much to you. You probably need like both taunt and Earth Power to beat it, if I had to guess. Is there anyone else worth mentioning? Okay, a couple more. Suicune. A lot of Suicunes I see are like full physically defensive, and they might feel pressured to start running speed so that they don't have to worry about getting taunted by Heatran to stop their Calm Mind rest shenanigans. They don't get toxic and like forced into not resting. So that is something else that they might have to consider. Hey, here's the thing. Even though I've thought about this, there's probably a lot more little meta adjustments that we would get and more variety that we would see in the metagame that I haven't even covered here. Weavile would have to start running low kick or be entirely walled, but he's entirely walled by every single steel in existence anyway, in his sad existence, so who cares? Yeah, I think that is actually like every guy that I could mention, right? If you guys thought this video was educational or good, or you liked it, comment down below, let me know what you think. Even if you didn't like it, if you want to say, Spidget, next time you do a BKC style one take rant video like this, stop looking to the camera. It freaks me out. I don't want to see your beady little eyes looking at me. Or just turn off the face cam entirely. Comment down below what you guys like, what you guys didn't like. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, let me know. I've never uploaded any video like this, so I understand it's not what usually see, but hopefully you guys liked to hear my thoughts on why I thought Heatran would be a good impact to the OU metagame. Let me know if I've convinced you. If you disagree, I'd love to hear you comment down below. I'd love to know why. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. I probably said that already, but if you got to the end of the video, I'm saying it again. Check and make sure that you're subscribed. This video took me like 3 tries to record because I kept like stumbling over my words and I wanted to do a one take. So much love to you guys. Peace out and have a great rest of your day.